This is your review for the short story 16 by Maureen Daly. I have a little picture here from the 80s movie 16 Candles. I think it perfectly illustrates this. I'm very smart and I know things mentality, even though the speaker clearly doesn't. Um, so just a brief overview. The speaker introduces herself to us by telling us she's not dumb. She's like, look, I get around, I've got older sisters, I listen to the radio, I read the news and magazines, I know things. I get around, I know things. And the speaker going on like this actually gives us an opposite impression, just like a 13-year-old trying to convince you they're a grown-up by saying swear words and saying, I'm important, you need to listen to me. It kind of gives us the opposite impression about them. It's important to note that the speaker constantly uses the word lovely. It was a lovely night. It was a lovely evening. You know, the rink was lovely. The walk was lovely. Everything was lovely. Her use of this word kind of gives us a foundation for the time period. Not many 16-year-olds now use the word lovely. So that right there is a pretty good indicator that this is a different time period. Also the fact that she says, I listen to the radio as kind of her source of news. She goes skating. Again, we have this lovely evening. She's got homework to do, but she's going to go skating instead. She talks about the lots of skaters on the rink, and there's the ruts in the ice because it hasn't been smoothed out. And a boy just skates up and puts his hand around her waist, and that's the beginning of kind of this drama moment. They're skating around, he's whispering in her ear, it's super romantic. And again, she's 16-year-old, gets swept up in this kind of romantic moment, thinking about how lovely it all is. So once they're finished skating, he goes to get her shoes, and it's a really interesting quote where he says, I guess we better head back, which she says clearly indicates he's going to walk her home. And we have this kind of very flirty walk home. He's carrying her skates over his shoulders. It's a very picturesque kind of idea. It definitely makes me think the 1940s, 50s, where this idea of innocence was very different. And we have this really special whispering goodbye where he puts his face up by her cheek and whispers in her ear. And again, it's this very romantic idea. And it's not something a 16-year-old would probably do today. There's probably kissing involved when we're talking about modern 16-year-olds. But this kind of innocent romantic motion that happens here is it's very powerful for this young lady. And she's talking about how she sits around waiting. She says, that was Thursday, today's Tuesday, and he's not going to call. I know he's not going to call. I don't even jump up when the phone rings anymore, but there's still this very childish part of me that hopes he will. Even though my mind knows it's not going to happen, my heart still holds out that hope. So it kind of brings us back to this concept of being 16, that when we're processing into adult, our hearts will tell us one thing, but our minds will tell us something else. And that's very indicative of growing up, is that we start to shift from using our hearts to guide us to using our minds. And in a way, it kind of leads to this loss of innocence, because the next time our speaker goes ice skating, and should a boy put his arm around his waist and walk her home and tell her he's going to call her, she'll probably think, oh yeah, sure, okay, whatever. So she's been a little jaded by this experience. And again, that's very indicative of this kind of coming of age, Bildungsroman type story. There you go, 16 by Maureen Daly. If you've got questions, let me know.